You look like Chris Brown in that, what video is that?
No guidance.
The No Guidance video?
I'm morphine on this, my man Alex right here.
Get
Picked up his own hair.
Keep the spatula.
Stay still right there. Yeah, stay like that. Don't move. What's going on, Faded Culture? It's Sergio Barron, and we're back again with another tutorial. Today, I'm gonna run y'all down my step-by-step process on doing a high ball fade while keeping the hair length on top pretty long. Also, make sure y'all are subscribed to the channel so y'all don't miss out on all our tutorials that we drop weekly. So with that being said, let's get started. Alright guys, so I'm gonna start by dampening the hair with some water just so we can start doing our shear work up top. You'll see that I start by sectioning out one section at a time, starting from the crown area, and it'll be about a finger in length thick, and we're gonna start trimming away our first section. I'll pull the hair up and you'll see that I'm gonna base about 2 fingers from the scalp up, and that's as much as I'm gonna cut off the top. I'll move forward about another finger in length, pick out another section and do the exact same thing, trimming about 2 fingers in length of hair. Here, as I move a little forward, you'll see that I'm gonna start implementing 3 fingers as opposed to 2, as I want the hair to be a little longer towards the front. So doing the exact same steps, pulling a small section at a time, about a finger in length. I'm gonna grab the section, pull it up, and this time laying down 3 fingers under the comb, and then I'm gonna just trim away whatever excess hair is above my finger. And we're just gonna repeat the exact same process all the way until we get to the front of the hair. And now that our guide down the middle is all set, now we're gonna start again from the back, but now move to the left side of his head and basically just even out everything according to the middle guideline that we set. And we're gonna do this all the way until we get to the front and make sure everything is nicely cut and even, and then we'll move forward by moving along to the right side of his head to finish cutting the whole top of his hair. And once I'm done trimming the whole hair on top, I'll dry the hair a little bit. That way we can start doing our clipper work. I'll start by setting in this hard part on the right side of his head, since on this side, I'm gonna leave his hair disconnected from the side to the top. And by disconnected, all I mean is that I'm only gonna fade up into this line on this side of his head. And now we're gonna come in starting with the 0, that's the clipper lever closed, and I'm gonna set down my first guideline here, probably about a little bit higher than the temple peak area, since this is gonna be a high fade. And we're gonna set down this guideline consistent all around his entire head until we meet the other side of his head. Next, I'm gonna open the lever all the way open, and that's a half, and we're gonna set down our second guideline coming up about a 1/2 inch. Next, I'm gonna throw on the 1 guard, still leaving the lever open to a 1.5, and I'm gonna set down my third guideline, coming up about another 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Next, I'm gonna throw on the 2 guard with the lever open, and I'm gonna try to connect this disconnection that he had on this left side and the back side and try to smooth it out. He did cut his hair previously on his own, so he didn't really do any kind of blending. So we're gonna try to blend this side of his hair. And we're only gonna blend up until we reach that line. Since that line, we're still gonna leave it disconnected. And whatever you couldn't get with the 2.5, we're just gonna come back and do a little bit of some clipper over comb just to kind of finish smoothing out the side lane to the top as much as possible. And now you'll see that we're left here with our 3 guidelines that need to be blended out. We'll start with the uppermost one, coming in with the 1.5 clip open to about 3/4, and start taking out that uppermost guideline a little bit at a time until we get it completely blended out. And remember that when we get to this side, we're only blending up until that line and not anything higher, since we're gonna leave it disconnected. Next, I'm gonna throw in the 1/2 clip with the lever in the same position and start working on taking out this middle guideline. It's important to note that this guard won't take out this middle guideline completely, but still stay taking it out a little bit at a time with small strokes, and whatever soft guideline you leave right above it, we'll come back in a little bit with the 1 guard with the lever in the same position to finish taking it out. So like I said, we're gonna throw on the 1 guard and leave the lever in the same position and continue blending out this middle guideline until we get it all taken out. As you're blending out your guidelines, be sure to always be brushing away any loose hair. That way you stay clean throughout the whole process. And next we'll be left with our last guideline, and for this one we'll start with the clipper lever closed and then halfway open and then all the way open to finish taking it out. I'll work with small sections at a time, so I'll start with just the right side first, here with the clipper lever closed, and I'll try to take out most of this first guideline, and then I'll come right back, and like I said, I'll open it halfway, continue blending up a little bit, and then I'm gonna open all the way to finish taking it out completely. So you see here, I opened the lever a little bit halfway, gradually moving up a little bit at a time. Then here I open it all the way to finish tightening up the blend all together. Again, here starting with the clipper lever closed, open it halfway, come up a little bit higher, and then you'll open it all the way and continue blending up. keep in mind that you're blending these lines out, so when you're working on them a little bit at a time, you're not so much digging the clipper in. That way you're not creating any like harsh guidelines that will be difficult to take out. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that you're not pressing the clipper down pretty hard. And now that that guideline is all taken out, I'm gonna come in and look for any touch-up work that might be needed. So I'm gonna come in with my half guard open to about 3/4, looking for any dark areas that I might spot throughout his entire head, and kind of just lightly picking at them a little bit at a time until we get them nicely smoothed out. And now I'm gonna come in with my trimmer upside down, as this leaves a balder guideline to start taking out the bottom hair. I'll come with it first upside down, and then I'm gonna flip it right back over to take out that little faint line that it left right above. I start with it upside down since it leaves it really bald, so that when we come back and take out the bottom of the hair, we're still gonna see the bald guideline above. So that's basically gonna serve as another guideline to show us how high to come up with our electric shavers. So here on his beard, I decided to add a little something of some sort of little design before I take out the bottom of his hair. It's pretty cool to kind of just get creative and have fun with it whenever your client allows you to. So here, now that we're taking out the bottom of his hair, you'll see that, you'll be able to see that little faint line like that I was talking about earlier. And that's gonna be our guideline that's gonna show us how high to take up our electric shaver. So next, yeah, we're just gonna come and finish shaving out the bottom of the hair. And like I said, coming up just up until that faint line that we had left behind. And as you reach that faint line, be sure to start kind of releasing some pressure on your electric shaver so that you don't create any hard line with that shaver, because it does take the hair down all the way to the skin. And now that you're done, you can always come back with your trimmer if you feel that you might still need a little bit of blending here and there to finish tightening up the whole blend. For his beard work, I'm gonna come in with the one guard, that's the clipper with the lever closed, and I'm gonna just trim away all the sides of his hair. And as I move towards his goatee, I'll open the lever to a 1.5, and that's what I'm gonna trim his mustache with. And for the bottom part of his goatee, I'm gonna come in with the number 2 guard, and that way we can leave it a little darker up there. And next, we're just gonna blend down the sideburn areas. On this side, I'm gonna just blend up until that little design that we had left, just so that we can leave that little disconnection. I'll start with the clipper open halfway, and then I'll gradually close it as I move forward, or I move upwards, I should say, just so that we completely blend it in. And before I start with my lineup work here on his forehead, I will grab 2 clips just to kind of move or keep a lot of this length up top and just move it out of the way. I'll start with the trimmer setting down my guideline in the middle of his head, and then I'll work my way off to the right side of his head and basically trying to form out that box up until like about a 90-degree angle on the sides. And we're just going to continue that process, moving on to the opposite side. Be sure you kind of take a step back. That way you're kind of aware of how the line is going and you're kind of staying straight with it. I'm also going to trim or start shaping out his eyebrows, since I am going to be shaving those as well. So I like to just kind of shape out a rough little, kind of like doing a rough draft, I should say, just to kind of guide me as to where to take my straight razor. And I'll do the exact same thing with his mustache, just kind of creating little guidelines for when I come in with my straight razor. I also kind of fine-tune this little hard line on the side just to thicken it up a little bit. And then before I come in with my straight razor, I apply a little bit of shaving gel just so that I don't create any irritation. And first I like to shave with the grain, so you'll see me shaving downwards, taking off most of the hair that's there. And then I'll basically shape out all the lineup, and then I'll come back and shave against the grain just to get down really close to the skin. Be sure you're always tugging above the razor on the skin. That way you create a little more tension, and it just kind of helps the straight razor glide with ease. And we're gonna move forward to his eyebrows, and almost doing the same thing. Guys, try not to push his eyebrows or make them too thin. Try to stay as natural as possible when you're doing your lineup work. And yeah, a little bit at a time with small strokes, shaving all the hair. Be sure you pull on his eyelid down. That way you also create tension under there, and you don't, or basically prevent the blade from getting stuck and maybe cutting him. And next I'm gonna come in with my trimmers to finish doing his lineup. I'm gonna set down his guideline down here, probably about where his neck starts to bend, and that's where I'll set it down with my trimmers before coming in with my straight razor to shave it all out. So when I'm lining up the sides, I like to kind of shape it out first, and it's normally starting from the sideburn, I'll lead the guideline down up into the corners of his lip, and then I'll just go back and basically shave against the grain to really get it close to the skin. And by against the grain, all I mean is basically shaving upwards against the hair growth pattern. Next, this is optional, I'm gonna come in and apply a little bit of enhancements. And for my enhancements, I just like to use half Kiss Express, the black color, and then I'll mix it with a little bit of water using equal parts. And then I'll just come back and reuse my razor one more time just to sharpen everything up. And next I'll apply a little bit of some matte clay pomade just to bring out the haircut overall. So this is the before, guys, again, and here's the after. I hope y'all guys enjoyed this tutorial and were able to learn something from it on a high ball fade with long hair on top. Let me know down in the comments section what y'all guys thoughts were, what y'all did or didn't like about it, or even what other video y'all like us to go over. Again, guys, my name is Sergio Barron, this is Faded Culture, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.